Are you sure you want to do this?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing? Welcome back to the Movie Blues. I am DS Lyons, and today I'm going to be giving a relatively unbiased review of Alien Romulus. So as you may be able to tell at this point from me in real life or my channel, I am obsessed with the Alien series, and that obsession has reached all the way back to my childhood at this point when I got my first Alien VHS at probably 7 years old. And while that movie kicked off my love of sci-fi, of creepy dark hallways on derelict ships, it also ignited my interest in filmmaking, screenwriting, and the like. And that is because the Alien series isn't full of 10 out of 10 movies. It's full of auteur directors who take things in interesting directions with every entry that is made. There is truly an Alien film for every season. If you want to watch a creepy haunted house horror movie, the first one is actually a 10 out of 10. For all you action buffs out there, there will always be Aliens, James Cameron's incredible follow-up to the original. If you're feeling in a particularly depressed, hopeless mood and you want kind of like Oz in space, then look no further than David Fincher's excellent Alien 3.
You've been in my life so long, I can't remember anything else.
If you want to get weird, if you want to have some goofs, some gaffes with your friends, drink a couple beers, smoke a little of the devil's lettuce, then you can watch Alien Resurrection. That's basically a comedy, even though it's from director Jean-Pierre Jeunet, who made incredible movies like City of Lost Children. This one was just a complete swing and a miss for me. I've never understood or truly liked this movie, but I can laugh at it. Then you've got your popcorn entertainment movies like AVP, which is just kind of wish fulfillment for Alien fans and Predator fans. If you're in the mood for a schlocky slasher, you can always watch AVP Requiem, if you can actually see what's going on the screen. Then we've got the edible trip that is Prometheus and the mushroom trip that is Alien Covenant. Two movies that I found exceptionally fascinating entries in the Alien mythos that expanded the lore in ways that I found truly titillating. Yes, you like being titillated, my little bubby. And yeah, those movies, they're kind of disliked by a large portion of the fan base, but most Alien movies are disliked by a large portion of the fan base, and that is the portion of the fan base who just loves the movie Aliens, who just loves the idea of Marines shooting aliens with pulse rifles. And that's the contingent of the fan base that makes it kind of hard for me to be an Alien fan, because I'm more into the cerebral, head trip type of Alien story, when really some people just want to see pulse rifle go burr.
Hell yeah! Hey, come on, baby! Come on! Yes! Come on! Yes!
I don't mind that too much. I mean, I love the reticle of a smart gun more than anybody, but gets to a point where how many times are you going to make the same movie? How many times are you going to make the same story? So yeah, there is an Alien film for every season, and with the franchise in an obvious decline since the release of Alien Covenant, which once again kind of fractured an already fractured fan base, it's now up to director Fede Alvarez to try to right the ship, to make Alien a more commercially viable, more memorable property than it had become in the years prior. But I guess that leads us to what you could consider to be my major criticism of this film, and that's that this movie is clearly aware of the rest of the Alien franchise in a way that the other films have not. I mean, this movie has had decades to kind of stir over what makes the most popular, interesting elements of the series really pop. And then it decides to capitalize on those ideas by cherry-picking some of the best set pieces, moments, and ideas from throughout the franchise. And if there's anything you can tell about me so far in this video or from my current setup, it's that I'm not really going to mind that kind of thing. That's kind of what I'm here for. In fact, I really think that this could have gone a lot worse. I think that Fede Alvarez could have abandoned the lore of the entire series and simply did what a lot of the expanded universe Aliens comics have done. Just present us with a new space station, a new crew of people to act as cannon fodder to the Xenomorph, while not really pushing the iconography, the mythos, or the Prometheus Covenant head trip of the whole thing further than it had already been. I mean, even in the past couple years, comics in the Alien universe struggle to include major mythos points because We just weren't sure what Ridley was going to do. He wasn't willing to give out the mythos to other people to change radically. So it's been up to other creatives and authors to pepper in very small details of the Alien universe, because we just have to wait for more to be given to us. And so while this movie could have been another small parsing of the Alien mythos, of Alien stories in general, it seems like Fede Alvarez, under the tutelage of Ridley Scott and the permission of Ridley Scott, really was allowed to make something that did play off of some of the major events in the saga, something that did include characters and ideas that would advance, color in, and illustrate different parts of the Alien universe that we had never seen yet. And to that, huge props from me to Alien Romulus for taking tons of different risks, for making Alien scary again, for turning this series back into the haunted house thrill ride that it originally intended to be when Alien took over the world. But somewhere along the way here, we do have kind of the effect of seeing the greatest cover band of all time playing your favorite songs. And I have a lot of favorite songs. Weirdly enough, I think the people that are going to be kind of left in the dirt again by this movie are the same people that were left in the dirt by Prometheus and Covenant. These are the type of dedicated Aliens fans who really don't want to see the status quo change in the Alien universe. They really want to see people just wearing bandanas mowing down xenomorphs.
Let's rock!
And once again, we have a film like Prometheus and Covenant that kind of refuses to do that. Even though the trailers make you kind of think that this is a full return to form, a full connection between the horror of Alien and the action of Aliens, it's really more in the horror camp, which is something that, most people should have expected from Fede, whose entire career has been making dark, slimy, disgusting, pregnancy horror adjacent horror movies. I mean, if you watch Don't Breathe right before watching this movie, you're going to get a very good idea of how Fede handles horror. And if you watch his Evil Dead film from 2013, you're going to get a very good idea about how Fede respects the franchises that he is working in. And yeah, the respect is here. The analog computers are in this movie in every single scene. There are so many throwbacks to the games, the movies, the expanded lore, what's come before, in a way that felt respectful and very imbued with love, the kind of love that only a real fan of the series could express. So yeah, the biggest downside to this movie for me is that it is the ultimate cover band. It is attempting to do only what was done before, and I guess I am the target demographic for that kind of cover band, because I had a hell of a time watching this movie. And if you know me personally as an Alien fan, a lot of the things that I love and gravitate towards in the series ended up having their day in court in this film and their spotlight in this film. And that was huge to me. That meant everything to me, because leading up to the film, it almost seemed like Alvarez was going to avoid a lot of what Ridley had done recently, avoid things like Alien Resurrection, Alien 3. But there are shades of all of those things in this movie. And in some cases, there are even more than shades. Without getting into it, I can say that I walked away from the film having seen and experienced every element of the Alien series that I come to the films for. Now, how is that going to translate to a mainstream market audience? I'm not too sure. I know that a lot of people have claimed that anybody could walk into Alien Romulus and have a good time. For me, it felt like a huge celebration of the things that I already had come to understand and love about the Alien series, and then expanding on them, connecting them in ways I'd never thought before, and adding significant portions to the lore of two films that kind of had their stories closed off outside of maybe Alien Isolation, which, brought us into the world of Amanda Ripley. The story of Alien and Aliens has kind of been like sacrosanct. You kind of can't cross into that category as an Aliens author or fan. It's best to kind of pepper around it and not cross the line. But this movie sought fit to cross that line, to go there, to sort of act as a rogue one, if you will, between these two films, adding a certain level of explanation, intrigue, and filling out and illustrating Weyland-Yutani's complicated and fraught relationship with the xenobiology of all of these films. At a period of time when they had learned the most about the creature following Alien. From a wish fulfillment point of view, this movie had so many things that the Alien series had been lacking up until now. A fully fleshed out Weyland-Yutani colony that doesn't instantly fall and disappear in front of our eyes, where we can see the kind of desperation and sadness and the distance between star systems that human beings are spread out in the Alien universe. It was fascinating to see Weyland-Yutani trying to build a better world on the home planet of Kaylee Spaney's main character, and how that affects negatively the people who are putting their blood, sweat, and tears into trying to live on the fringes and frontiers of this dangerous and dark galaxy. And it is this illustration of Kaylee Spaney's world where she has been raised in very rough environment with her brother, who's played by David Johnson, who's giving an incredible, very nuanced performance in this movie. It is their world that gives off this feeling of hopelessness, of isolation, the kind of sad desperation that you see in a movie like Alien 3 on Fury 161. This is a universe where not everybody is living happily ever after, and their goals and aspirations are often what brings them to the environment of the alien and to fall into the path of the dangers of this universe. Whereas in Prometheus and Covenant, you kind of have spoiled people just going out into the galaxy to do boneheaded things for their own self-amusement, this movie really felt like it gave its characters a reason to be going where they were going, to be doing what they were doing, and it very quickly imbued me to all of their struggles in a way that most Alien movies don't really give off. I mean, I love Covenant, but I don't think I was ever fully wrapped into the story of the couples seeding life on a new planet. They barely did anything with it. In fact, for all intents and purposes, the entire crew of the Covenant could have just kind of been strangers to each other, and it wouldn't have really affected so much of the drama outside of that scene where Kenny Powers is listening to his wife get murdered. That's horrible. That worked really well. But this movie has a really good way of setting up its characters in a way that I cared about them, which is the strength of any good horror movie in general. It's what lifted The Evil Dead 2013 from being a cautious imitation of the movies that came before it into a extremely brazen reimagining and reinvestment into the cabin in the woods concept, but with people we actually were totally invested in, instead of some dude trying to just finger blast his girlfriend.
This kind of looks like your old girlfriend.
So yeah, a lot of what makes Fede's horror movies and franchise entries very successful are what makes this film so successful. And in many ways, this film felt like, to me, a little bit close to Blade Runner 2049, where we're taking Ridley Scott's best ideas and the best corners of his universe and fleshing them out with a director who is game to add new elements to the mythos, to respect what came before it, and to really give an ode to the people who had created this incredible universe before them. And as a cover band would do, not everything was perfect, and the suspension of disbelief about this being the actual band you came to see came up quite a few times. There was a character and special effect in this movie that I can't get into due to spoiler reasons that sucked me out of the movie in a way that I absolutely hated. Some of the most unfinished looking CGI I have ever seen in my life. It was basically like a Snapchat filter being put on screen, and I really am just appalled at how that made it through several layers of VFX departments and screenings and dailies and things like that without someone going, this looks like shit. Other than that element, which will unnerve you and may rub you really the wrong way, this movie was full of incredible special effects. I mean, the facehuggers were the creepiest and eekiest they have ever been. The xenomorphs themselves were sleek and fascinatingly put together by really talented robotics companies. They weren't very mobile. It was very obvious that, you know, when they were kind of sitting and snarling around, that's kind of all they could do until they shot to a wide shot and then they would turn into CG. But that's fine. I'm fine with that. It's better than it being all CG, and it obviously shows that the love and the passion for the creature design was there. And it looks a hell of a lot better than the man in costume suits that they were running around in AVP and AVP2. These just really sucked the tension out of the room for me. The alien was captured visually and conceptually in a way that really, respected Geiger's vision, that really made it seem like a design concept that had hopped straight out of the 1970s and into the modern day. So that was incredible. Everything in the practical creature department was very impressive. The gore was not quite as promised, but I can see what Fede was trying to do, but I felt like a lot of the action and gore was shot a little too close up to fully relish in what was going on at times. I don't know if this is because the aliens, once again, weren't very mobile, but there were a lot of scenes in this movie where I wish that I could see a little bit more of what was going on. The other major star of this movie is the sound design, which has been lauded all over the internet, and I am going to add to that pile some of the best sound design I've ever heard in a horror movie in an IMAX showing. The IMAX showing itself also crisp, clean, so much more picture image on the top and bottom of the screen. I got my alien popcorn bucket, which was one of several options. They had a test tube with a face hugger as well, but I wanted to go with my boy here. They fit a small popcorn inside of his head, which I ate out of the entire movie. It was a lot of fun, and when I was done eating out of his skull, I cradled him like a little shotgun baby down at my side until the end of the movie. All in all, what's most important about this movie for me is that there were tons of Alien fans in the theater. There were tons of people excited, screaming, reacting to the things happening in the film. There were some crazy reveals towards the end of the film that people were not laughing at, but seemed actually vested in and unnerved by, which I appreciated because I do remember watching Alien Covenant and everybody was laughing when David was fingering David's flute. I don't blame them, but I think they were kind of missing the subtext there. And yeah, it was a gorgeous beast of a movie. It was a cacophony of incredible sound. I loved the score, actually. I think it surpassed Covenant's score for me. Not Prometheus. Prometheus is one of my favorite scores in the series, but the musical score here was not droning and sounding exactly like Jerry Goldsmith's score, much like Covenant did. This one really played with its own new themes, especially in and around the synthetic character in the movie. There were some really cool arpeggiators, some really cool electronic vibes that were brought in that were really unexpected and then kind of carried throughout the film. Alien, Romulus, it's a glorious imitation of the Alien series. It is as good, I think, as a person in this day and age who is not Ridley Scott or James Cameron could make an Alien film, unless, once again, all you wanted were pulse rifles, smart guns, and green blood flying everywhere. There's some of that in this movie, but this is a horror movie, and I am a horror Alien fan. And as a fan of the prequels, I was very satisfied with certain elements in this movie. As a fan of even the worst Alien movies, there are nods and odes to them in here as well. I mean, there is for sure some nods to Alien Resurrection, which I did not see coming, and I really appreciated. I feel satisfied. I feel like I was given a really gigantic 7-course meal with maybe 2 courses that I didn't prefer but could still stomach, and then most of the rest of the food was scrumptious. How to rate this film? It's becoming almost impossible for me to sit this in with the rest of the Alien series, but I would say I probably value this movie in and around the prequels, in and around Alien 3. It's definitely leagues better than the AVP films. It's definitely a much better film than Alien Resurrection. It is almost fully succinct with the glory of the original series, but there is something you can kind of suss out amongst all the noise, and that's that Fede Alvarez is a genius auteur, horror director, but he is an Alien fan. And if an Alien fan made an Alien movie, I mean, how many original new ideas are we going to push forward versus how many things are we just going to celebrate that we love about the series? And with Alien Romulus, this is a celebration, bitches. So yeah, if you're an Alien fan, absolute must. Go to the theater. The sound design is worth the ticket alone. The visuals are incredible. It's going to be a movie that rewards you no matter what kind of Alien fan that you are. And I think that's the kind of Alien movie that we need right now. Something that can reach out to both sides of the aisle, something that can touch viewers who have not seen the Alien series, and something that can continually reward people who've stuck with this franchise through thick and thin, through good movies and bad, through cancellations and rewrites and Ridley's trilogy never coming to fruition. And yeah, this movie is a great placeholder to watch between Alien and Aliens now on rewatches, which is a blessed gift because I've watched those 2 movies in a row too many times without reprieve, and it's time to have a nice little refresher in the middle. The performances were great. Kaylee Spaney was great. David Johnson, this guy killed it. and gave one of the more memorable type of alien performances that we look for in every single one of these movies. And overall, the kills were there, the atmosphere was dialed in, the sound was perfect. This is a classic 20th Century Fox sci-fi horror slapper. Big slapper. I'm big slapping after watching this movie. When the movie ended, people went, woo! Like, they wooed. It's good to woo at the end of an Alien movie. So, I'm all on board for Alien Romulus. I'm gonna buy it all. I'm gonna watch it all again. I'm gonna consume it a million times over. But I can admit that it is maybe not the most original, the most impactful, the most lore-shattering entry in the Alien universe, but it gave me what I wanted and then some to chew on. It gave the audience that I was seeing it with plenty to celebrate over, and it was the perfect excuse to return to the cinemas once again and enjoy the series that we love. We're living in a world where all media is just recycling itself endlessly, rebooting itself on and on and on. If it's between a movie like this or Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, if it's between a movie like this or a series like The Acolyte that seeks to undermine, disrespect, and disavow any ties with the series and the lore that made it great, no, this is a real Alien movie. This is not a person who hates Alien like Leslie Headland making an Alien movie where the alien's the good guy and it turns out the people were bad all along. It's truly... this is an Alien movie, and they did it right. There isn't a bunch of forced messaging in it. There isn't a bunch of hokey, dumb bullshit in it. I love the characters. I love the music. I love the sound design. It had some great visual images to walk home with, and I'll be thinking about this one for a while. It, may not blaze that many new trails, but for the kind of Alien fan that I am and have always been, it was like a big old treasure chest of Xeno fun. Once again, I'm DS Lyons of the Movie Blues, and we'll be seeing you soon. Thank you.
Because I love you, and I love you, and I love you, and I've seen all your movies, and I love your movies, and I think you're the best.